Yo, how's it going, my fellow revelers? Welcome back to another episode of the Festy podcast. My name is Manny, aka Frisky Hug. And yeah, this is the Festy podcast where I bring DJs, influencers, people from the industry onto the podcast. Really, anyone that has impacted the EDM community in any way, shape, or form. And we talk. We talk about them. We talk about us. We talk about the community. So for today's episode, we have a DJ. His name is Protaxia. He's a friend of mine. He's got a lot of big shows coming up. He's growing not only in the Florida scene, but also just all around musically. He's growing as a person, as a DJ, as a producer. Definitely somebody to keep an eye on. And I kind of just brought him onto the podcast. We talked a little bit and we get to know him a little better, get to know his point of view on a lot of things. But yeah, so his information will be down in the description below if you want to go just check him out. He's on SoundCloud, Spotify, he's on TikTok, Instagram. Um, but yeah, I normally do my 4 shout outs of the week, but your boy is going to Okeechobee tomorrow. So I have work. Let's see. Right now, what I'm recording this the day before, it is literally midnight, and I have work in about 6.5 hours. So this is what it this is what it means to grind, my guys. So me and my roommate have been up literally all night, and I swear to God, he hasn't even packed, and I just barely finished packing some of my shit. Um, I didn't know that we weren't allowed to just like put all of our like beverages in a cooler. Apparently, you're supposed to put it like leave it in the original packing. So I had to go back to the store and buy like brand new sodas and beer and leave it in the box that it came with. Um, yeah, so I didn't exactly read the rules before getting ready for Okeechobee. My bad, that's on me. But I definitely wanted to kind of shed some light on like some of the policies for Okeechobee. So that's one of the things that I learned. Another thing that I learned about Okeechobee is that apparently there's a lot of like DEA cops, like people getting just pulled over. I guess there's already like people being arrested and people with like felonies as of like right now, and it's like people standing up and stuff like that. I'm like, that's insane. The amount of like DMs I'm getting about like how bad the cop situation is right now. And I'm like, honestly, that kind of just like sucks. So I hope everybody is staying safe. Um, I hope that, if you guys can, party sober, party sober. Um, I mean, just do your best to just, not speed and just, see if you are gonna risk it, don't get caught. I would hate to any of you guys getting caught out there. But I normally upload these episodes like on the weekends. I'm actually uploading this on Thursday because I kind of wanted to make sure that if you guys are driving to Okeechobee, you guys have something to listen to. Yeah, casual conversation between me and Protaxia. But what else we got going on? I think that's it for right now. I got like Okeechobee, and then I have like another like 4 week break, and then I go into like a nonstop back to back festival season of like 6 festivals nonstop. Um, but that's my life there right now. Focusing on myself, working a lot. I work Monday through Thursdays. I've been here in Orlando now 2 months, and it has been an amazing 2 months. Actually, no. I've been here 3 months now. I can't say that anymore. I've been here 3 months. Um, yeah, it's been quite the adventure. Really loving it over here. But all right, enough about me. Let's get started with the podcast. All right, so I'd like to welcome Protaxia to the podcast.
Hey everyone, my name's Protaxia. I've been a DJ for 10 years now. Started actually at the age of 15. So, been doing this since I was super young. Honestly, really love doing this. And, I have so much music and everything that I've been releasing recently, and so much music that I have planned for the future. Actually, within the next month or so, I'll be playing for DJ Diesel at the Vanguard. So I'm just super excited for the future ahead with Protaxia. And, I just can't wait to see what the future holds. So,
So Protaxia and I, we go as far as back as me and Ian Blaze, who was also on the podcast. So he introduced me to Protaxia, and then he was like, Ian was like, I'm gonna make Protaxia big. Like if it's gonna fucking kill me, that's what I'm gonna fucking do. I'm gonna make him fucking big. And that's what I was like, okay, we're putting like fucking, all on the table right now. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm full support. I've always supported you since the beginning. When Ian sets his mind and like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, I back him up. But that's how I know you, man. How did you get started with all this like DJ stuff? How's that?
So, believe it or not, super interestingly, I actually my roots kind of started in DJing through DJ Hero. So I remember just being like a young kid, and I had just bought this, video game called DJ Hero, and a lot of my friends were playing Guitar Hero at the time, and I just couldn't really pick it up. I just didn't find it super interesting. But I remember getting this game and just being immediately hooked by it. Of course, it's nothing like actual DJing, but it was just so enthralling to me because I just got to take songs and mix them together and even have these DJ battles. And I remember being a little kid and just being so excited by it. I was like, this is really what I want to do with my life. And so it was. I really just started getting involved with it. I remember I was like 14 at the time. I actually downloaded one of those DJ apps and just started screwing around with it. And, I was like, this is amazing. There was so much more to it than I even thought was possible. You always get this false notion that DJing is really just pressing buttons and just taking music and mixing it together, but it's much more than that. And I think that once I began to realize that, I really started going full force. And by age 15, I remember getting my first mixer. It was a Newmark mix deck. And I don't know, it was just like right after that, it was like every day I was just DJing and practicing. Of course, I was a bedroom DJ for many years. And then I was
what's a bedroom DJ, like Twitch?
Yeah, but kind of like Twitch, but without the recording. So basically it's just like you're DJing in your bedroom and really getting a feel for it and practicing. And that's really where the skill begins. But it was basically about 2017 is really when I started to take things seriously. That's when I had my first club gig, actually in St. Augustine. And after that, that's really when I got serious about it. Started, connecting with promoters, connecting with even Ian around that time. And that's when I also started getting into production, because I know a lot of the value really comes from the music and content you create as a musician. So it was about that time I started taking all that seriously, even audio engineering. And here I am now.
What's your background?
My background. So I'm actually from Jacksonville, Florida. My family actually came over from Lebanon. My mom's Irish. And my family is somewhat musical, but they, as far as work, they were never the types to get into music as a field of work. My dad plays the guitar, my sister plays the piano, and even
so they're musically inclined.
They're musically inclined, but none of them ever saw it as like work. They always saw it as like a secondary
thing.
Do
at church.
Yeah, a hobby. Even that might be stretching it. So they always did that as a hobby, but I just became so just obsessed with it. Even at an early age, I was playing in a band. So I grew up in Jacksonville. Eventually I made my way over here to Orlando to start at UCF. And actually, I just recently finished studying psychology at the University of Central Florida. I've just really been fascinated by that as well. But that's really my roots and my background. So,
okay. So I guess we're gonna dive into your relationship with Ian now. How did you get started even finding out about Ian?
So I would say about 4 years ago. So this was right when I was getting connected with club promoters and just really trying to put my foot in the scene as much as I could. I actually started going out to like small events, even like house parties. I was just DJing there, just trying to build as much value as I could. And I remember Ian was super involved with that too. He would show up to a lot of these parties. He was usually like promoting for them, just trying to get people out. And he was super good at it. And I mean, he still is. I mean,
definitely.
he's really the top of the food chain when it comes to, the club scene now. But, we all had our roots there, just really small events, small house parties. And that's where I met Ian, honestly, was just doing that. And I think that even from the beginning, he noticed something different in me, whether it was the DJing or just kind of the spark that I had. And since then, he's just been growing me as much as he can.
Okay, so going back to more about Ian, right? Since you met Ian, what are some of like the events that you've actually like gone to and you've done? Because I know I've been there for a couple of them.
So we've done quite a few at this point. I mean, initially we were doing some events at Soundbar in the beginning, but we worked our way up to Guilt.
The fuck is Soundbar?
Soundbar was actually a smaller, kind of like a local venue that was in Orlando for quite some time. And a lot of artists, especially smaller artists, who even got into like, who really got bigger. They played there a lot. It was just a small little intimate venue, but it was definitely like the starting grounds for a lot of artists. I mean, including myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the activity that we've kind of gone into now is mostly Guilt. Saline, the newer one being Vanguard, which opened within the past year and a half. So, it's good to see the progression, but it's also good to see the diversity that's coming out of this. I mean, they've even opened some newer clubs and venues that we've been working at. For example, like Neon Beach. Although a lot of these venues are smaller, it really allows and breeds for different levels of artistry. So I think as a whole, it's helped me grow, from the smallest to the bigger levels. And also it's allowing other artists that I work with and even see out frequently to grow.
What are some of like the artists that you have played with that you think are, moving up? You know what I mean? Because we get like, we have friends obviously that like, oh, everyone fucking DJs, my guy. But you tend to notice like some people are like, oh yeah, they're gonna get big one day.
Oh, wow. There's quite a few. And I mean, I'm actually really excited to say that just because I feel like so many years ago, there was, there were only a handful of people you would see. But right now, I would say my eyes are really fixated on people like Matthias. I know that he's been doing a lot of work, especially just not only being a techno DJ,
but like he's been playing festivals, my guy.
Yeah, he's been playing some really big shows. One of my friends, Marcel, he goes by Cello. He's been doing some really big stuff too. He's been involved with a lot of big artists. I know that he's been doing some stuff with DJ Diesel, and a lot of big artists have been supporting his edits and remixes, and I've even been supporting them myself. Let me think, who else? I think that AK Rennie is an artist that's coming up. She's actually based out of Jacksonville. And I think that one of the things that really stands out to me about her is she has kind of a unique style of bass house. And a lot of people hear that word. Yeah, a lot of people hear that word and have mixed emotions just because there are some styles of bass house that have kind of become antiquated at this point. But I think that that's kind of what sets AK Rennie apart, is that she's trying to push it in a new direction and kind of venturing into a new domain, which not only is awesome as an artist, but I think that that's really what supports and drives her brand. I think that there's a lot of people right now that are particularly involved with tech house and minimal house. And I think that as much as I like some of that, I think it's also very hard to distinguish some of those artists just because it's like I can't really pick out what details set them apart from, like Solardo and some of these artists that I've been paying attention to for a while now. And I think that's what, people like AK Rennie, I think that's really what sets her apart as an artist. So,
I mean, as a female artist, what is your opinion about female artists coming to the scene? Do you think that they work just as hard as we do? Or do you think that people are looking at them like, oh, we need more females in the scene anyways, so they're getting that boost? What is your opinion? I mean, do you think that every single female on like that's getting like, attention, do they deserve it? Do they not deserve it? Do you think that maybe some of them, because I think it goes both ways. I think, at least for me, when I think of it, guys do it too. So, I mean, I guess you really can't say, because like, it's not about what you know, it's about who you fucking know, right?
Yeah.
Or sometimes who you fuck.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I think there's three things to be said about that. The first being I'm highly supportive of, this female movement of DJs and musicians and producers as a whole. But also the second thing is there are a lot of females actually bringing a lot of great music to the scene, AK Rennie being one of them, but, bigger names even. So like Ghost in Real Life, I'm actually good friends with her. And even like Lazy, I know she's really getting a lot of attention as a dubstep DJ right
I
now.
hate you right now. It's Lays.
Lays. I'm sorry, Lays.
Layla.
I apologize. Layla, I apologize. But in all seriousness, I think those artists really stand out a lot, not just because they're female artists, but because their music is exceptionally good. And I think that's really what drives the third point home. I like to see diversity, not only in just the music, but the creators.
And I feel like a lot of females, they bring something different to the table. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like a lot of the times they're not taken seriously. So it's like, it's up to like, promoters and, people who throw these festivals to really like give them a chance. And like my girl Armistice Tunes, shout out, because she just got into the game like 6 months ago and she's been fucking killing it, learning. Lizzie Jane is her mentor, like literally.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. When I tell you Armistice Tunes is gonna come in fucking hard, bro, she's gonna come in steaming.
Oh
my guy. Yes.
That's awesome.
Like she's got so much music in the works right now, and it's gonna get nuts.
That's amazing.
So it's like these artists want to bring something different, right? And females just have a different taste. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
I feel like Rez, for instance, right? She just brought something completely new to the fucking table.
Well, that's exactly what I mean. Obviously there's kind of the counter that, which is, I feel like in some circumstances we are giving a lot more attention to people just, based on either, their gender or their look. And again, there's nothing necessarily against that, but I feel like sometimes it can detract from the artistry of producers and musicians when we're just giving people attention just simply based on their physiology. I think overall we should definitely be taking into consideration their music. And that's why I mentioned the names that I did. I think that not only are they exceptional female artists, but I think they're the types of people that are really going to push the industry forward, not only musically, but just as female artists as a whole.
Yeah. So Protaxia, why don't you have a TikTok?
I do have a TikTok.
Oh, do you? I was looking for you and I was like, I cannot find you. I want to talk about like social media as a DJ, right? What is your opinion about, okay, maybe backtracking just a slight bit so I don't like lose focus of what I'm trying to say. But DJs back in the days, they just used to play music, play at shows, Spotify playlists went up, whatever streams, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it almost feels like DJs are being known through TikTok, Instagram reels, like these DJs, like fucking the Vanguard is having Kickstart or whatever his name is. Like, no offense to the guy, but I don't actually fucking know you, so I mean, unless you hear this and we're friends, fuck.
So I have mixed feelings about that. I think that I'm open to the idea of different types of DJs. I think there are more so what I call like social DJs where a lot of their value is built through their relationships with people and their relationship with the internet. People know them as celebrity DJs, or some people just know them for the content they make. And that's great because that's like an avenue of success that people can go, especially maybe if they're more inclined to performing acts rather than production. And then also, there's the other hand of that where it's like there's a lot of people who aren't really interested in maybe social media and they're more interested in production as a whole, and they express themselves creatively.
But like Wookie, for instance, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know Wookie existed until TikTok.
Oh, really?
And this motherfucker throws out banger after banger after banger. And I was like, thank God for TikTok, because if it wasn't for TikTok, I would have never heard of him.
So, I mean, Wookie, so the complicated part of this is a lot of DJs know Wookie. A lot of DJs have been playing his edits, but I think that TikTok really blew him in the mainstream.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I have my, I'd say my negative opinion about TikTok, although it seems like I would be saying something positive in this regard. I think that TikTok has the propensity to shed a lot of light on artists, but it also makes artists feel, in my opinion, I think TikTok makes artists kind of feel anxious about our scene, because it also makes them feel like they have to add another weight or another task into
But
what they're doing.
you do have to fucking do that
Yeah.
because being a DJ is more than just playing the fucking music, right?
Yeah.
You have to have personality. You have to be a motherfucking good person. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, there's a lot of DJs out there that are not good motherfucking people, and
Yeah.
that's part of why they get kicked out later on. Cool, you were successful 5 years. You're a terrible motherfucking human being.
Yeah.
You're canceled, right? Not that cancel culture is like the good thing or all the times, but sometimes
Mhm.
people do have to fucking go because it takes more to be a DJ than being able to fucking just play your music.
Yeah, well, and I think that was kind of the point I was making. It's not, I wasn't saying that there isn't a social aspect that's important, because I think there is a triage of importance, whether it's your musical productions, your social and, your social ability, or, even your performing ability. I think what's happening is we're putting so much emphasis on people's social ability right now. That we're actually detracting from the musical side of things. We're so focused on 30-second snippets of things that we're giving attention to people who may not actually possess that level of talent that other people may have, and we're kind of taking the spotlight away from them by doing that. And that's what I was kind of saying is the catch-22. I think that social media is extremely important. I think that that's really a valuable tool for DJs to to express themselves socially and become connected socially, but it also kind of detracts from all the other aspects, whether it's the performing arts or production.
I personally love it, man, only because one thing that added, because of they had to, basically as a DJ you have to be in social media. One thing that it added is people like me who are just content creators are known in the DJ world because we're mixed in now. Like we are literally one of the same.
That's true. Yeah. And I would say that that's where I think the positive remarks are. It gives you so much more opportunity to engage with people. It gives you so much more opportunity to be creative in different ways. And that's definitely why I like TikTok. But yeah, it's just, like I said, it has its pros and cons. And I think over time, those things will kind of iron themselves out, I'm hoping. But I can see how it's helped you a lot. And I can definitely see how that's helping me a lot.
Yeah, man. It's just crazy. It's like, my friend Diego, or he's my roommate now. He was hanging out with these like well-known DJs, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Hey, you're friends with like Frisky Hug, right?" And he goes, "Wait, how do you know Frisky Hug?" They're like, "Oh my god, I watch all his fucking TikToks."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "But you're like a famous DJ." Like, what? And then I don't even know them. Like they know me, right? And I was like, okay. I'm like, this is where we're at now. Why? Because as a DJ, you have to also be now a content. Sadly, I'm sorry, guys, but some of you guys who aren't fucking keeping up, you do have to be a content creator too. Fucking Black Tiger Sex Machine isn't above content creating. Sullivan King isn't above content creating. Why the fuck are you, right?
Yeah.
So these are some big names, man. And they're on TikTok. They're grinding. They're doing their best. You're telling me that you don't have motherfucking time?
Yeah. Like I said, there's kind of a catch-22 to that, which is like, we have to make sure that we're giving attention to all three aspects of things, or else, where's the music, where's the DJing? People are going to become tired of it if it is entirely just one thing, one domain. So we have to pay our respects to each domain. And, overall, the people that will win are the ones who are taking control of all three.
But also, I mean, it's really smart to use every platform at your disposal, right?
Yeah.
Like for instance, for me, right? I'm a YouTuber. It'd be stupid for me not to use my Instagram or my Twitter, or like
absolutely
just use everything, dude. I started using TikTok. I was like, fuck, I caved in, right?
Yeah.
20,000 followers. Like what I mean?
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like that's 20,000 I didn't have before. So I couldn't imagine not, putting my pride away, because you think like, oh my god, TikTok, it's for kids. But once you get into it and stuff, and you see like the numbers are growing, people are literally coming up to you in the streets going like, whoa, like I watch your stuff, you're super funny. That means a lot, man. So like for me, when I see like a DJ who's also on TikTok, bro, my eyes light up, bro, because I'm like, dude, I literally not only listen to you, but I watch you. Like if I saw Sullivan King, I think back to every single time he fucking screams at his wife. Or I think it was one he screamed at his mom or some shit. I don't know. So it's like, and then like, I love that when I see like these pictures of like these DJs taking pictures with like these TikTokers, because it shows like, hey, like we're all in the same motherfucking industry. We're all in the same music industry. We just happen to be on different platforms.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some of us are on Spotify, some of us are on YouTube, some of us are on TikTok. You know what I mean? I happen to be on all three. Yeah, but Protaxia, tell me about your name, man. Why did you come up with Protaxia?
So it was kind of a weird name, especially the way that I came up with it. I mean, so it was about 2015. Before then, I didn't really have a DJ name. I was just kind of, just doing things as I went. Um, but I was really studying like neurophysiology and like neuroanatomy and all this stuff. I was just really fascinated by it. And this one word that would always stick out to me was something called ataxia. And basically, it's like if somebody has a stroke and they lose the ability to be coordinated or coordinate movements, neurologists would call that ataxia, like they're ataxic. So I came up with the smart idea to just kind of put a little flip on the word and come up with protaxia.
It almost sounds like you're pro taxes, my guy.
Yeah, kind of. But but I mean, the other main reason that I came up with that word was because I wanted it to be as unique as possible. And I don't mean that in, like an arrogant way. I mean that in a sense that the internet is just filled with so many names and clones that it's very hard for you to stand out, even with your content. If people go and search for your name and then 50 other people show up. That was a name that I just typed in the internet a bunch and it never showed up anywhere, which was perfect because that meant that I could, capitalize off that. I could put my name anywhere on the internet, including Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok now. And there's no other name like it. So
have you Googled yourself?
I have. So
what comes up?
My name, my Spotify, my SoundCloud.
Same, man. Dude, that's what I tell people, like, Google me. Like, you'll literally find like articles about me. Like I've had like 3 articles published on me. I've published my own articles. My Spotify podcast comes on there, SoundCloud, Apple, dude, the whole works, right? So it's like #1 trick for whether you're a DJ or you're a content creator or you're just fucking famous for some fucking reason. Google your fucking name. And if your name isn't the motherfucking first one that pops up, you did something wrong. Your name sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I totally agree with that. I mean, especially with SoundCloud, I mean, a lot of people put a lot of downplay on that now because I would say that, a lot of like the more popular audience isn't really using SoundCloud as much anymore. They're more so shifted towards Spotify and even TikTok at this point. But as a DJ, your initial success and your initial following is going to come from other DJs downloading and playing your music. And where are they going to find that? They're not going to find that on Spotify. They're going to find that on SoundCloud, just like Wookie. And, eventually you're kind of going to make your way up those tiers in that process. So
and honestly, I don't think even SoundCloud is dying on, like, people don't want to pay. So they're always going to go to the free shit first if they don't want to pay for anything. Right. I actually get the same amount of listens on SoundCloud than I do on Spotify.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's actually like, I don't know how, but I'm getting this, like, it's kind of irrelevant then at that point.
Well, in that, and also I think that we had a dip there, but there's definitely a lot of comeback now. Just because there are a lot of artists who are in the spotlight that are putting a lot of their music on SoundCloud, just because, well, #1, copyright issues, like that's always been the case.
Yeah.
But for example, like Kayvon remixed,
is it Kayvon or Kayvon?
Kayvon, I'm sorry.
Dude, you're on strike 2 now.
Strike 2. Kayvon did a remix of Misery Business, and like that's a huge remix right now. Most DJs are playing it, even just
you can't find you're not gonna find that shit on Spotify.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. Like that has really helped his brand exponentially, and also brought a lot of attention back to SoundCloud. Just a lot of these things that people will post ideas and such. And again, like I said, if you don't have a name that sticks out, it's going to be impossible for people to find those songs. So
you got any songs coming up, man? Or if you answer this, is Ian going to get mad?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I would love to talk about this.
Let's talk about some songs you got going on.
So, I have I would say a weird taste in music. I really love house music. A lot of people think I've been making a lot of house bootlegs just because like house is the hot thing.
Which is up and coming, growing.
It is.
I mean, house was obviously a thing in the past, but I mean, goddamn, it is growing right now.
Yeah. So, that definitely is not a limiting factor. Like I definitely like to incorporate that into my, just like my knowledge base for production. But as far as like house music and bass music, like I just absolutely love house music. I think there's just something, interesting you can always do with it, even as simple as the drum patterns can be. You can always just manipulate it in such a way that'll be familiar, but also different. So I've really just taken it upon myself to make a lot of house remixes.
Okay.
I've got a couple of those coming out pretty soon. I actually have a Look at Me Now remix that I finished and played out in Gainesville. I think you actually heard that. And I'm really excited to drop that one. I actually have an EP, and again, I'd say my originals are more so usually bass songs, just because I feel like I can kind of go in any direction with that. So I have an EP. It's going to be called Dysentropy. And again, another made up word. But
so who comes up with these fucking names, my guy?
Me.
Totally. I want to
up.
name this song Amanamana.
Well, hey, you know what? Even then, like that's a word already. So I try to just break the rules as much as I can, because guess what? At the end of the day, it does pay off. People will notice things that are totally weird.
What if you had a Pokemon album and literally each song was a Pokemon name?
I don't know about that.
Dude, your nerd fan base would blow the fuck up.
I mean, I would think it's cool. I think that as far as from a branding perspective, it would be kind of weird. And also, down the road, like would I kind of run into issues with, lawsuits? And stuff like that.
You know what? I take it back. Don't get sued, my guy.
You want to be conservative and also kind of proactive at the same time.
One of my followers was literally, he was giving me a heads up. He's like, you know what, man, your podcast is growing rapidly right now. I would start changing your fucking logo. He didn't say it like that. He was like way nicer than that. But he was like, you're
change your fucking logo.
Change your logo. I'll eat you. So he was like recommending like you just change it just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
Pornhub probably isn't gonna fucking sue you, but it's better to be ahead of the game. You know what I mean? So you're right.
Absolutely.
Who knows how big this will get? So I don't even fucking know. I actually have some. I mean, we'll talk about it afterwards because I don't want to like spill the tea of who's actually gonna be in the podcast in the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, you gotta kind of keep that under the wraps. So
yeah. So I got some really cool DJs that are coming into the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
My first verified. Let's go.
Oh, first verified DJ. This is big. Is he local to Florida?
Hey, we're gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
Leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
No, I'm very excited, man, for where this podcast is going. And I'm like, I know we talked about getting you on the podcast for the longest time, and I was like, I don't know, maybe just because you live here, I just kept forgetting, like, and I forgetting, like, I'm like, oh, I could just schedule Protaxia whenever the fuck I want, right? Versus like people like who like are here on vacation and stuff like that. Like, I gotta get them now,
Yeah.
So, I was like, you know what, man, we gotta get Protaxia's story out there. We gotta tell the world, like, this guy fucks, what I mean? So, I mean, so. God damn, I lost my train of thought. I had a fucking good question.
It's all good. I always have that problem in conversation.
No, I literally every single fucking time I have a podcast, I always go with I have really bad ADD. What were we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I even remember earlier I was like gonna give, I gave 3 points for something, and I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I remember this. I'm like about to list, and then I'm like worried I'm gonna get to like point 3 and then be like, wait, what was I gonna say again?
No, so I remember my question actually now. What is your favorite genre to play?
My favorite genre. That's actually a really tough question, because that the answer to that question has changed honestly every time I've been asked that question. I think right now my favorite genre to play is probably house.
Okay.
Not only just because of the remixes I've done, but I think that there's just been a lot of diversity in that as a whole, and just playing to a more, I'd say, diverse audience, playing house, you tend to get a really strong reaction. People are listening to it a lot on the radio. Acrazes, Do It To It, for example. Like it's just become so commonplace to hear house music that it's like, even if you remix a popular song, even if you play it, it's very hard to go wrong with it. And you tend to get a very, very linear reaction out of people when you are playing that. So I'd say that's probably my favorite genre to play right now. But in the past, I probably would have said more like bass styles, stuff like that.
I never know what the fuck kind of content creator I am.
Yeah.
I never know. But I always look back at my audience. And when I go to a bass show, bro, I get stopped 50 fucking times.
Yeah.
For a picture, to trade some candy, say hi, a hug, you name it. I go to a house show. Like I went to a house show yesterday, and I was stopped 5 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then like that's what I like. And I'm trying to be humble, but I'm trying to also measure where my audience is at, and it's fucking bass.
Oh, definitely.
But like, I go to as many house shows as bass. So like I literally am going to Dirty Bird all weekend. Like it's all nothing but house. And it's like, what am I doing wrong?
So I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think that the house scene and even the bass scene has become, separated in some ways at this point, both musically and culturally.
Yeah.
If we rewind 5 or 6 years ago, there were like artists like Jaws making house and bass at the same time, just using similar sounds to kind of curate his style.
Speaking of Jaws,
yes.
Did y'all know this motherfucker had a podcast?
Jaws has a podcast.
A podcast during COVID. He was doing a podcast, and it was crispy. The microphone was crispy. The logo was crispy. I mean, this motherfucker was like, damn, man, he could have done something with this.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyways,
I didn't know he was doing that.
Since you mentioned Jaws, I was like, bro, I had to just squeeze this little quick facts in.
No, but what I wanted to say about that is, in the past, I think EDM was kind of this collective umbrella, and I think eventually that kind of put a sour taste in people's mouth, because people were like, oh, well, EDM, this cringiness, like all this stuff. And people kind of separated the styles more. So they wanted to have more variety and also more intricacy in what they're listening to. And where I'm going with that is like the house scene in a way is kind of split off into these minimal and tech styles.
Why is it a scene? You know what I mean? Like me and you could go to a bass show and a house show, and we're having just as much fun.
I know. And that's the thing. There's the music, and that's really where I'm driving the point home. There's music and there's culture. And I think this is why you were experiencing the phenomenon that you were experiencing. You would go to a bass show and people would be handing out, candy and all that stuff. And you're not really going to see that as much as at a house show. House music and the house culture is so much different than, the bass culture now. House tends to be more traditionalist, house and techno tends to be more traditionalist, very European. They like the minimalism. They like certain styles of outfits. They like to dress certain ways, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's honestly a cool thing. And then also you see the same thing in the bass side of things. People like more colorful, vibrant, extravagant looking things. They like to trade candy. They like this rave and plur culture that's more associated with the modern styles of electronic dance music. And I think that, that's beautiful in both ways. The only thing I don't like is when there's clash. People are like, I hate house because it's boring, or I hate bass music because it sounds like robots. That saddens me inside, because it really, that's what I think creates a divide in people. But as a musician, that doesn't stop me at all. I think I like to pursue both styles.
It's probably what it is. I just like the bass culture more. I also came from Colorado, so I spent 3 years in literally bass capital of the United States, right? So it's like that. So like every show was bass. So a lot of my content for 3 years straight was nothing but bass, right? Now that I'm in Orlando and I'm literally like, interviewing you, Matthias, the next guest I have coming up. No, so it's like maybe my demographics changing, because of my location as well, right? So like I'm being given certain people, like when I was doing this podcast, I never started the in-person podcast like I'm doing now, which is very shameful, but I was also like short on money. This equipment costs a lot of fucking money.
It really does.
I didn't fucking know it was gonna cost me as much money as it did. So, or else I would have started doing like in-person podcasting a long time ago. But there's a lot of bass people in Colorado that I wish that if I had been doing it in person, I would have had the time to like schedule a podcast and bring them in. Like what Brondo lives over there. Decadon lives over there. So many good DJs that I wish I had the time to interview. Now I could do like a Zoom call with them. It's not the same. Something about bringing your fucking bringing somebody onto the podcast and bonding, bro. We're like it's like I'll tell you this, man. Me and Matthias had never had more than like a 5-word conversation together, bro. I brought him to the podcast for like 2 hours, bro. And he stayed for another like 2 more after that. We just talked, ate some like fruits and vegetables, drank some beers. And it's like, it's that part of like the podcasting that I really enjoy, because like, if I don't know somebody, we gonna know each other, my guy.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck how like big you are in the scene. We gonna know each other.
Well, that's what I love about the podcast. I mean, you're literally bringing out the personality in people. And I think that music doesn't do enough to say that, even Instagram posts don't, but I think that's the beauty in podcasts is you're really hearing not only somebody's history, but you're also like dissecting their personality. So
Yeah. What is up with your outfit, my guy?
my outfit.
Yeah, let's talk about the captain's hat. Let's talk about the glasses.
So
Okay, for those of you that don't know, this mofo and a half has a really stylish outfit where he wears like a captain's hat, has what aviators. I think it's probably those.
Yeah, they're just Ray-Bans.
Yeah, he'd be looking stylish as fuck though. And yeah, well, what's up with that, man?
So there's two parts to that. I think that well, first of all, I've been wearing the captain's hat for a while now. I think that's kind of a symbol of my brand. And it kind of just honestly started as a joke. I would my friend left like a captain's hat at my house one day back when I was kind of getting serious about DJing. And I remember I would just go to these parties, and I think it was even like a costume party or something. And I just wore this captain's hat. It was a goofy looking one, but everybody was like calling me the captain. And I was just like, laughing about it. I'm the captain. And it just kind of stuck. And then eventually when I actually started going out to the clubs, I would wear that. And like, even in any circumstance, like it didn't matter if there was two people there or a bunch of people, it seemed like I just stood out like a sore thumb. I didn't know if it was a good or a bad thing, and I feel like as a DJ, both in some ways can be a good thing. And so I was like, this is perfect. It's something to associate my name with, like a symbol, like a lineum. So I just started wearing captain's hat. I got another one. Yeah. I started wearing the white one. And, I was like, I got to have a look. And so I just started wearing a lot of black. I kind of like that from the techno crowd specifically. I think black is just a very understated look. And I think in the earlier stages of an artist, you don't want to be too overstated. You kind of want to be a little bit understated. And as you work your way up,
it works for some people.
Yeah.
Like Che Boss, like it worked for him, so he's fucking TV, fucking flashing lights and shit.
Yeah.
So it depends on like how you're flashing it. I don't know who I was talking to this to, but we were saying that like every DJ gets remembered when they have a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. It's whatever sticks, whatever you can associate them with.
Even content creators, man, if you don't have a thing, then it's like, then you be better busting your ass to become a content creator. Cause like, the Bop It guy or fucking, Sriracha guy, the Uno guy, Frisky Hug, we have a thing, and it's like, you can't just like, it's really hard to create content and get big if you're not remembered easily. Yeah. So you have to be remembered easily,
Yeah, that's definitely facts. I mean, I even remember a friend of mine who, he didn't get too huge on like social media, but like everybody talks about him locally speaking. There were just all my friends knew him. His name was Blake, and he did this thing. He called himself the Lime Guy. He would go to like clubs and, just like spray his eyes with lime juice.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if
the guy
is true or not.
It's not that serious.
Yeah. It's not, I don't know about that.
It's not that serious.
I don't know if this is a rumor, but one of my friends told me his mom was actually an optician. Correct me if I'm wrong, Blake, if you ever see this, but apparently that was the case, and his mom was like, or his parents were like, yeah, like stop doing this. But the point is like he got recognized significantly, not because he was just squirting lime juice in his eyes, but everybody knew him as the Lime Guy. Everywhere they went, it was like he'd be wearing green or something. It was like this dude had embodied the lime, and it was crazy. Obviously for health reasons, he kind of had to stop doing that. But it really impacted me because it showed me how a symbol can greatly impact your memorability to people. Like if you have something to associate with, people will remember you for that, even without the music. It's like with the music, it's like it's just impactful at that point.
$10, Blake listens to this podcast.
I mean, I'll send it to him.
No, you don't even have to send. Don't even send it to him. He will one day listen to it. Bro, I get literally complaint like every week. I get a complaint about something on my fucking podcast. My podcast in this episode, that episode.
Yeah,
somebody's fucking complaining, and I'm like, fuck. I'm sorry. At the same time, I'm like, I'm kind of impressed that I even got to you. Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of like really famous.
Yeah.
Like, how are you listening to my podcast?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think that could be a good or a bad thing. You know, it's like you want to have a little bit of controversy. You want to be able to show that you're not only just saying things, but you're paying attention. And some people, you know, they may not like that, but it's okay because like as long as you're being honest and you're not overstepping your boundaries with things, you can tell people what you've experienced and what you know. And maybe that's sharing stories with people around the world who'll never know that. You know, maybe there's people out there who won't know Blake's story, but I'm glad that I can be the messenger to pass that on.
Can content creators and DJs be friends?
Absolutely. I mean, if anything, sometimes they're one and the same. How could they not be?
My roommate one time, and we'll like leave his name out, but y'all know him.
I do. I know you're saying.
He's we were talking about a DJ, and I was like, damn, like I introduced myself to this DJ. And again, I need to be humbled sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I can't assume every motherfucker I talk to is gonna just instantly add me on Instagram just because I'm me, right?
Yeah.
So I need to humble myself. And I was complaining. I was like, bro, I didn't get added. Like I said hi, introduced myself, nothing, no ad on Instagram, no nothing. And he was like, okay, yeah, but he's like a DJ, right? So like, what do you have to offer him that makes him want to even fucking follow you?
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's true.
Fuck. And I was like, what do I have? And it honestly dawned. It was like 10 minutes after. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. I'm a fucking podcaster. I literally interview DJs.
Yeah.
What do you mean, you piece of shit? I didn't say all that. I mean, God bless my roommate. Bless his heart.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, you know, it got to that fucking no. Like I tell you this, 5 minutes later, get at it. And I was like, it's all in my head.
It really is.
But I'm humble. But it's in my head.
No, I've definitely been there too before. You know, even being a DJ, I've been around people who I'm like, you know, I'm hoping they'll add me, and then they don't, and then the next day I wake up and they added me, and it's like, it's so easy nowadays to get caught in your head thinking about value and what you provide to people. And I think really, at the end of the day, what people are really looking for is a good connection.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean that in like a business sense, and I don't mean that in like a creative sense. I mean that in a social sense. Like, I think that people really just want to have a good conversation. People really want to get to know you. And if you aren't doing that, like why would they add you? You know what I mean? Why are they adding somebody they don't know? But if you get to know them, you know, you don't have anything to worry about. People are going to want to know you, especially if you're a genuine person and you bring some sort of value, whether that is content creation or just being a good person, you know?
There's a pretty well-known techno DJ that came through town the other day, and you know, like 4 days after he left, I got added on Instagram. Like, what the fuck? I've never even met the guy, but he added me, right? I'm like, okay, like who's talking about me, right?
Yeah.
Who said the nice things about me? Because you know, God bless whoever the hell like said add this guy, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, this guy's in Miami right now. How did he add me? Like, so then I go on our mutuals, not following anyone I know, literally zero mutuals. I'm like, okay, that's weird, right? And then I'm like, so then I talked to my friends, like, hey, which one of you guys like talked to about me to him? Because oh, well, I did. I was talking about you, this and this, like, you know, 4 days ago. I'm like, okay, well, he had me today, so I don't think people are gonna remember my name 4 days later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't even know how to what to think about it. Is like all I can think about is that maybe somebody in Miami mentioned me. Like they got that, like, you know, I stretch sometimes that far. So like maybe that's what happened. I don't know, man. It's like it's just super weird. Like, but like my roommate was saying, what do I have to offer? I don't fucking know. But this motherfucker added me, none of you.
Well,
there's literally he did like 5 back-to-backs while he was in Orlando, added 0 of those DJs, added me, a fucking content creator who has nothing to offer.
Again, I mean, sometimes that's
but
just how the cookie
humble.
crumbles.
But I'm humble.
You're humble. You're a humble content creator. No, but I feel like sometimes that's how it works out. Some people just go through the internet and something just pops up, you know, whether it's through the search feed or if they just a friend posted something and they just see it through a chain of people and they're like, cool, I'm going to follow this guy or this girl, you know, that happens a lot. And even then, like, I could see why maybe he didn't follow back some of the DJs. Like sometimes that happens too, you know. It's
so crazy because like he's met them, you know. Like,
I
he
know.
did a back-to-back with them.
You know, that goes back to my original point. If you aren't really building an authentic relationship with somebody who has a lot more status than you, they may not feel inclined to want to interact with you in the
Yeah,
future.
right. It's
Because
like,
they might be
I don't
like,
owe you shit.
exact that, or like if you kind of just did something with them and you're not really building a relationship with
Mhm.
them, they aren't going to be interested to want to talk to you after that. And I feel like, sometimes I get those vibes from people as a DJ,
Mhm.
because there is a lot of status and conquest involved with
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, we'll never know the real reasons for things like that, but I think overall, that's the kind of experience that I've had with working
Yeah.
with other people before.
I'll tell you this, man, just being a content creator of like my reputation.
Mhm.
And if you're a content creator and you're trying to build a reputation too, like one thing that I feel is really cool is like when I add somebody, normally like 90% of the times I get added back.
Mhm.
Like I saw a content creator on TikTok. I was like, oh man, you're cool. I added him on Instagram. Boom, automatic, like confirm. You know what I mean? Accept.
Yeah.
Like I hardly ever get denied. So like if I want to be friends with someone, it's just like I will be friends
Yeah.
with them. Like there's just like not like I have too much to offer for you to like be like, oh, I don't know who that guy
Yeah.
is. I'm like, read my bio, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, like this
Oh,
guy.
okay. He's humble. He's humble, Frisky hug.
I'm really not.
He's trying to be, ladies and gentlemen. He is still humble. He's
Dude,
humble to me.
I am really fucking trying, and it's really fucking hard
Yeah.
because I had this weird mentality where I think I'm just the shit, but I have to like remind myself that I'm not. But if you tell yourself that you're not, then you lose motivation.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so hard because how do you find like a balance, right? Between knowing you're the shit and trying to not be trash.
Mhm.
Because I wake up some mornings, dude, completely defeated.
Mhm.
Actually, this podcast, for instance, I was behind. So I was only doing this podcast back to like once every 2 weeks because I was feeling defeated. Like it was just too much for me to handle. Fuck, it's still too much for me to handle now, and it's like the only way is just like I would ask somebody, can you be in the podcast? Cool. They would give me the runaround for like 3 months. Like, am I just not good enough? So like in order for me to compensate for that, I had to tell myself, you're the shit.
Yeah.
But when I do that, then I get cocky and not humble.
Yeah. So I think it's a double-edged sword, like you said. I've actually thought about this a lot, just studying in psychology. It's like, at what point is there healthy confidence, and at one point are you being cocky? And I think the big question is your confidence coming from the inside or the outside? Are you building your confidence entirely off of your environment, or are you building your confidence off of what value you think you provide to the world? And I think when you're able to make that distinction and you're able to build your foundation on one of those, you'll begin to realize what's healthy and what's unhealthy. I think that inner confidence or internal confidence is the one that you want to work on, because regardless of what people think about you, or regardless of what's happening in the world, because I know a lot of crazy things are happening in the world right now, you are still able to maintain your integrity and your value based off of your own values rather than the external world. When people build their confidence on the external world, they can do that too. But the problem is you become so obsessed with what others are doing. You become so obsessed with how things are happening in the world that it begins to defeat your confidence. That's why it's like, you need to focus on building that internal confidence. And I think that's the healthiest, because your external confidence is very, very volatile. It changes minute to minute, and it's always relative to how you feel to other people, which can honestly, in my opinion, never be healthy.
One thing I will add, just because like we are, content creators. Another thing, if you're watching this and you're a small time content creator and you feel defeated a lot, like I fucking do. Fucking somebody with like what I have like 50,000 followers with all my platforms. I feel fucking defeated, because like one day my likes will be fucking 900, right? Then the next day it's like 200, and I was like, what did I do wrong? So like, you know, Instagram is toxic, first of all, because the like system is ridiculous. So I just turned that bitch off, and I have felt so much happier. I just do not care. I turned off anything. Well, I can't turn off the reels. But the reels they're whatever. They don't really like make me mad or anything, because like they all get like 24,000 views anyways. So like I'm not really upset about them. But like I don't want to see any good likes, and I don't want to see any bad likes. And I'm like, I don't know how like some people fucking do it. Just when I first started like with Instagram, I would always look at my Instagram.
Yeah.
How many likes did I get? I mean, like, dude, that is obsessive, my guy.
It is. I mean, that really is what makes it toxic, in my opinion. I think that Instagram has a lot of beauty to it. And I think Facebook has exploited that down to the finest detail, because, whatever they can monetize and whatever they can get you hooked on is how they're going to make money. If if Instagram became less for profit, and obviously I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but if it became a little bit more socially constructive, I think Instagram would be the best platform in my opinion, because you can do all of the things that TikTok and any honestly platform can do. It's just this obsession with likes and social comparison and this crazy incentive to make Instagram so overly refined in its algorithm that it's come down to basically, you know, the people that are getting the most likes are people, you know, doing food porn or whatever. They're showing like things that automatically grab, they grab your senses than they grab your senses.
Senses, yeah.
Yeah, because like think about it. You go on Instagram and somebody posts a picture of this very delicious looking molten chocolate cake, and you're automatically gravitated towards that versus the next DJ post or, hey guys, I just graduated. Like things that should be normally gravitating you. It's like the algorithm has become so sophisticated, it preys on the most basic of your senses. And I think that if we were able to iron those things out and make Instagram a little bit more user friendly and a little bit less about social competition and all these ridiculous things, then I think it would be a much healthier platform. And it would also even be healthier for higher status people. They would feel an incentive to post more often. They would feel okay with getting less or more likes because they wouldn't feel so obliged to fight the algorithm or even fight the competition that exists in Instagram today.
Protaxia, what do you do for a living, my guy?
So actually, I just graduated from the University of Central Florida for psychology, and I'm starting actually doing mental health technician work. So I'll be assisting psychiatrists and a lot of people in the psychiatric field, just assisting patients with medications, and also just getting that field work so I can move forward. I honestly really want to work in the psychiatric field. So that's we're currently where I am as far as work.
So let's put this into perspective a little bit. Let's say you get really uber duper famous. You're just gonna like give up on that then, or like how was that gonna work out?
Absolutely,
you could just try to do both.
Be
medical on the side.
Well, I see life like this. I see that you don't just build your talents in one domain. If you have expressed interests in a multitude of things, don't hold back from doing those things. Warren Buffett, for example, said, find 25 things you like, forget about all of them except for 5. And I really stand by that. I think that that's how you provide the most value to the world. And that's how you provide the most flexibility as a human being. Because if you become hyper-focused on one thing, it actually detracts from your ability to get things done.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I literally only play video games. I work in surgery and then I do EDM shit. That's it. Like I don't think people are like, oh my God, why is EDM your personality? I'm like, no, EDM is my life. Fuck the personality. I eat, sleep, shit EDM, my guy.
Yeah. And I mean, that answers the big question, or I want to answer the big question, the elephant in the room. Would you give up psychology for, dance music? Absolutely. I love psychology, but it's not the thing that provides me the most value and happiness as a person. I think that I found my position and my relevance in, the dance music industry. I just feel like the more cerebral functions that I'm interested in, just like the knowledge and the knowledge base and just knowing how people work behaviorally has just always been a fascination of mine. So in the earlier stages where I look for other ways to make some money on the side, I think this is a good way for me to show expressed interest in that hobby rather than just like sticking to one thing entirely in the beginning. So
you think Ian would get mad if I ask you for your real name?
I don't know, Ian.
His real name is Joseph. Josephina.
No, I don't.
Let's not. Ian, man. One day he's okay with it, and the next like, bro, why did you tell? Why did you ask him? And then he went up to you. Why did you answer?
Well, hey, my close friends know my real name, and I think for now I'll just stick as Protaxia, or if you want to call me the captain, that works too.
So what's funny is let's talk about that for a second. So I've actually gotten into fights with content creators,
really,
yes, other people, because they felt like they had an argument or whatever, and they're like, dude, I don't even fucking know you. They're like, I don't know your fucking name. I'm like, I just know you as Frisky fucking Hug. That's all I know you. I don't know shit about you. I'm like, so it takes away that personable factor of it, right?
Yeah.
So when you're trying to connect with somebody and they don't even know your real name, then it really takes that, like, even if they just happen to know your real name because like it's on your bio and all, like it does take away from the authenticity of
Yeah.
being actually close to you.
Well, I think there's a darker side to that too. I think that I remember when Subtronics was really, really getting big. I think there was this weird obsession of people of using his name frequently that didn't know him. And I think that you kind of want to have some separation between your brand and your
Yeah.
name. Not just psychologically, but like literally, like if people are going on your Instagram and saying F you, Steve, like, or just saying things that are, not representative of actually how you are,
Yeah.
it can just it just makes things look weird and
Yeah.
convoluted.
Here's my advice, right? Just as somebody who's just been doing content creating for a while and like who's learned a couple things because of this bullshit.
Yeah.
I have started every single podcast. I say, "Hey, I'm your host, Manny, aka Frisky Hug," because now somebody will come up to me in the street, be like, "Manny," and when they think of that, it's comforting.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're not strangers anymore. They know something about me that we could talk about. Like, hey, like they know me as Manny, so they feel comfortable to come up to me and talk to me.
Yeah.
I've had issues where people have actually DM me saying they felt intimidated. They felt like I was just so busy with things going on at the festival that I was unapproachable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but if they know me as Manny, bro, I'm approachable. Like, you know my first name. I'm an open book. But when you seem a little closed off, it's almost like you don't really want people to really get too close to you physically and like, logically.
Yeah. So that's kind of my catch-22 to that. Is like, I think that you have to draw a line somewhere between being extremely personable versus your brand. I think that your brand, like if you are a name or an idea, like you should represent as that idea through the internet and all those kinds of outlets. But when you meet people in person, I think it's more professional and personable to actually give them your name. That's normally what I do as a DJ when I meet other DJs and other people. I think it's better that way. People feel more comfortable.
I've been doing that a lot more. I've been always telling people, "Hey, I'm Manny. I go by Frisky Hug on IG. I'm also the host of the Festy Hub podcast."
Exactly. You're meeting them at a personal level to introduce them to your brand rather than doing it the other way around, which I think has caused a lot of chaos in the past.
And I have done that in the past where I was like, "Oh, I'm Frisky Hug." That like that's your name.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, it's almost kind of insulting. You're like, you're coming up to somebody with a high status and you just want to flaunt your name at them like it means something.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the thing. You want to make sure, again, that you're finding that middle ground and being personable, but you're not also just like overdoing it. You're not just throwing your brand in somebody's face who doesn't really know you. It's inhuman. It's unnatural for you to give names that are extremely uncommon or just totally, out of perspective as a means of introducing yourself to somebody.
Okay, Josephina. So tell us what you got planned in the future. What are your next projects? What are your next events? What do you got going on?
Wow.
Because I'll be releasing this next week. So throw them all out there. Maybe one of them will, get released.
So I actually have quite a few things going on. By the time this podcast will be aired, I would have played Guilt actually for my second time as a headliner. This time I really consider it to be really, really big. Just because Bro,
you got Lovely Bones right below you, dude. I love those two.
Yeah, and they're great. They're a great couple, by the way. I've known them for a while now. They've been super supportive.
I met them in Denver. They were playing right before Zoopstool was playing and Freaky.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. Man, they've been plays. They played at Ubby Dubby. Like they've played at festivals. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, they've honestly been great to me. And they make great music, so I support them all the way. And yeah, no, it's just crazy for me to be experiencing this. And I think that I've just reached a point where I'm actually able to play like full on headlining shows. That being said, I'll be doing a couple of those. So like I said, by the time this airs, I would have headlined Guilt for the second time or for the second time. And then I will be headlining at Myth Nightclub in Jacksonville, which is Jacksonville's premier nightclub. And then I will actually be opening for Shaq or DJ Diesel at the Vanguard on March 18th. I'm super excited about that one. I think that's a huge step forward, especially with Insomniac. And then as far as music is concerned, I have an EP coming out pretty soon. I have several remixes. Again, I'm really in love with the whole SoundCloud thing, just getting people to play my music out. A lot of people don't necessarily see it because I don't just share it that much, but I got people all over the world just sending me videos of them playing my Suavemente remix or my Get Busy remix or any of like the big throwback remixes I've done. They're playing it out everywhere, LA. I've had people in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam show me videos of that. Apparently they have some cool clubs out there. Where else? I've had a guy in Italy send me a video. Shout out to Asumo. He's played it a couple times, I think in Cabo at one point. But yeah, just craziness. DJs love weird and totally avant-garde house remixes to popular songs. And I think that, I've kind of hit the nail on the head with that. So I've got a bunch of those coming out too. I've got the EP. I've got some singles coming out, and I'm really shooting for some labels this year. So, we'll have to see how that goes.
All right, Dante, if you wouldn't mind just telling people where they can find you, if you just want to, throw in them socials right now.
I will throw in them socials. So the first place you can find me on is Instagram. I'm at Protaxia _ on SoundCloud. You can find me as just at Protaxia. That's or at Protaxia. You can find my Twitter. It's at Protaxia _ You can find my TikTok. That's also just at Protaxia. And then what else? Oh, my Spotify. It's Protaxia. So yeah, those are my major socials. I think I'm going to start doing some stuff on Mixcloud a little bit more and just uploading mixes because I know they've been paying a lot for that. So that'll be at Protaxia. Pretty much it'll be at Protaxia or at Protaxia _ depending if, the social media platform will let me do it.
Okay, this is just gonna be a monologue, just talking to you guys. So if you're watching this episode or listening to this episode, understand that we do have a video version on YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, understand we have the audio versions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud if you don't want to pay for shit. So everything is there. And if you guys want to help and support the channel, I mean, if you could send this to a friend, send this to a family member, literally just share it. Tag me, tag Protaxia, tag at the Festy podcast. Literally take a screen recording of you watching it. Anything and everything helps. This podcast is taking off. Let me know you're one of the first ones to really support us. I really appreciate that. But like I said, every single episode, I will catch y'all at the next one.